In this tutorial, we're going to look at importing a Photoshop design into Flash. So here, what we're looking at is a Photoshop document with 4 basic layers. There's nothing really fancy going on here, but if we look over here to the right, the top layer is the leaves, and that's just a bitmap image that I made with the brush tool. And then below that is a text layer which says name of site over here in the upper left of the design. And then below that, we're using a vector shape. And a vector shape actually is really a mask, because really it's the whole document is black and then this mask is applied to it. That's what's known as a vector shape, and you can see that white area right here, which is the area that's revealing the black, and that's why we have that black bar over there. And then the very bottom is the background layer, which is just a gradient. And it's not anything special, just a bitmap gradient. So now we'll go ahead and just toggle over to Flash, and then we'll import that design by going to File, Import, and then we can import it right to the stage. So we select the simple site, and we click on Import. Here we are at the Import dialog box, and with each one of those layers we can now make decisions. So if we select the leaves layer, we have bitmap image with editable layer styles. What I typically like to do is keep everything as editable as possible. For the sake of this tutorial, I'll go ahead and leave flatten bitmap image here for now, and then we'll come back later and do a re-import so you can see the difference. But we can go ahead and create a movie clip for each one of these and then name an instance. So we can call this leaves underscore MC. And then down in the publish settings, we can choose what type of compression. And really, you can also do this in Flash later on individually and get the look of, get to look at each individual bitmap and how you want to compress it. So often I'll just choose lossless, but this will give you a calculated bitmap size as far as file size. So if we go to choose custom and we change this to say 50, we calculate the bitmap size, it will tell us what the compressed size of the image will be. Okay, so we can just use the publish settings for now, and we'll just leave lossy for now. But again, you could just choose lossless to keep the highest quality. Now, if we go to the next one, this is text. So if we choose editable text, then we'll be able to change the text in Flash. Otherwise, if we have flattened bitmap image, the text will come in as an image. And again, we can create an instance for that, and we could just call that text underscore MC. Moving along, we have vector shapes. So if we want to keep this editable, and remember this is really just a mask, we'll just go ahead and choose editable paths and layer styles. And we can call that the bar underscore MC. And then the background. And with that one, we can just go ahead and flatten that one, since we're actually not going to do anything with it. It's just going to stay there. And we can create a movie clip for that as well if we'd like. Background underscore MC. Okay, now moving over here to the bottom left of this dialog box, we can convert the layers in Photoshop to either flash layers or to keyframes. So we'll go ahead and keep it at flash layers. And then we can place the layers at their original position, so they'll be the same as they were in the Photoshop document. And we can set the stage to equal the same size as the Photoshop canvas. So if you're doing a design and you haven't set your stage up to be the same size, this would be a good one to check. We'll go ahead and click OK at this point. And now in Flash, you can see, starting from the upper left over here, there's a leaves, so it brought over the names as well. Name of site, vector shape, background, okay, and then the layer one, which was just the default layer that was left up there. So it brought in all 4 of our layers from Photoshop. And then if we look at them over here on the stage, you can see that they're all different. If I select one, each one of them is a movie clip, and each one has an instance name. And also, we'll take a look inside of the library, and you can see that all of the stuff that comes in goes into this folder named the same thing as the Photoshop document, so simple site. And if I drop this menu down, you can see that sure enough, here are all of the different layers. And under assets, that's where our leaves bitmaps are and our background. And again, this is where I was suggesting where you could actually bring it in as highest quality as you'd like, and then from here click on the I for the properties, and then you could change this. So if we move this around, we can choose a different publish setting. We can go to custom, and we could drop this down to say 50, and then we can test that. Hit the test button, and over here it says that at quality 50, our original file is dropped down all the way down to 5.3 kilobytes, which is approximately 0% of the original. So, and I look over here and you can kind of see that, yeah, we're getting some banding, and then I might want to change it up to 70 and test that. But again, that gives us the control for each individual file at this point. Now, the thing we can look at is over here at our text. If I select our text and we go into that, we'll go right into the text movie clip, and then into there, sure enough, it's editable. So it brought it in as editable text. And let's take a look at our bar, which if you recall was actually a masked, a vector layer. So if I double click on that, here we are in a masked layer. See layer 2 and layer 1. We hit the padlock on both to actually see what it looks like. It looks exactly like it does in the Photoshop document, and sure enough, this is editable. So if I select the red area, which is our mask, and I choose to free transform it, and then we go back to the main scene, I have adjusted that so it's a vector. Now the last thing is, let's look at these leaves. So if I bring these leaves up, notice they kind of look a little yucky there. I'm going to zoom into this. See, they took the color of the gradient, and that happened when we brought it in. So see how the green is, the gradient's getting darker and darker for the edges here. So let's see what we could do. We'll re-import this and we'll try it again and see what happens if we choose a different selection for the leaves. File, import, import to stage. This is a new document, simple site. And I'm not going to worry about setting up those movie clip instance names again, just because we want to focus on how we can improve bringing in the leaves. So if I select the leaves, and instead of choosing flattened bitmap image, I'll choose bitmap image with editable layer styles. Let's see what happens when we use that, when we do that. We'll click OK, and here it is. Now notice if I select that and bring it up, oh, we have a very crisp, and I'll see this at 100% here. Yep, we have very crisp, nice bitmap. We don't see the extra color that's on there. And if I zoom in, and of course it's still a bitmap, so it won't look as good when we zoom in, but you can see that there isn't any extra stuff on the edges there. So sometimes you'll have to sort of fiddle or try different settings to bring in the stuff that you want just the way you want to bring it in. And if we wanted to, we can always just go File, Import, Import to Stage, and when we select our Photoshop file, we can just select only the layer that we want to select to bring in and not bring in other ones. Okay, in the next tutorial we'll look at a more sophisticated Photoshop document and how we can use that and bring that into Flash.